Well, this is exciting. Ecamm Live have just released version 3.9 and we wanted to put this video together to show you all the new features, and we reckon you're going to fall in love with these as much as we have. Now, before we get started, did you notice something? Ecamm have updated their logo. We think it looks really nice actually and sits there along the toolbar really well. But I'm just curious whether you spotted that. Let me know in the comments. Did you see it or are you just finding out now? So let's get into it. And I reckon the first one we should talk about is profiles. So what are profiles? Actually, this is one of those features, and I spotted this here and thought, how did I ever do without this? And I hope it's going to be as powerful for you as well. What is it that we're talking about? Well, it really comes down to the way we're using this. And if, like me, I tend to go to different places with my lives. For example, I run this Ecamm Live Academy, and so I want to be able to go into there with different branding, different overlays, to a different style to it than what I would do to my weekly support call or to a live webinar maybe. So for me at the minute, I use scenes and I organize everything into folders. So the top one there, for example, is my Pro Video Academy weekly call. Then, as you'll see down here, I've got my Ecamm Live Academy daily lives. And inside each of those, I've just got my intro video that would normally play there at the start. Then there's a camera angles, comments, screen shares, awards, things like that, that I can just keep nice and tidy. Well, now profiles takes that on another step in that I can actually come up into here, into profile, and I can create a new profile. And where at the minute you can see I've got that saved in a folder down here, I've already gone ahead and done this. And my Ecamm Live Academy, when I click on this profile, what you'll see now is I don't have all these folders anymore. We've basically gone inside that folder, and that's what this profile is. And as you can see here, I've just started having a play with this, a bit of branding and things that I could put onto this one. And then this is all me working in this profile. Now you might think, why is that any different to just working in folders? Well, one of the main things for me is that if I were to bring a comment on like this, and we'll talk about these overlays in a minute, that's the next big thing. When I bring this comment on here and maybe I decide that I want to brand it up differently in here for my Ecamm Live Academy than I would for my Pro Video one, normally what I do in the branding here would just carry across to every other scene that I had. But now that I've got this locked down into a profile, if I come out of this and now go back into my default show, and let me see if I can find that same comment as an overlay. Notice it's branded very differently. It's got a very different look and feel to it over here. We're actually in our Ecamm Live Academy at the minute. And so normally I would be in here and I would be working away in that default profile. When it comes to a webinar that I want to do at the weekend, I've got to change around my branding and things. Now I'm just going to go up to profiles, click into my other profile, and it's going to be as simple as that to jump between them. So I think this is massive. It might not be for you if you're just going live to the same channel all the time. Let me know what you think. One thing I should point out with these profiles, you don't have to start from scratch and build all those scenes up. The way I've been doing it is to duplicate the current one. So I start on my default, duplicate it out, and then delete out all the scenes that I don't want to use. What you also can do is to export a profile. So maybe somebody is doing this for you, laying it out, designing it all. They could then export it to you for you to use. Or if you were going somewhere and you wanted to be able to send this on so that it's on the computer when you get there, again, a great way to work. So that's profiles. As I say, we have done a specific video just on this topic. If this is of interest to you, go and check that one out afterwards. Now we're going to look at some overlay updates, and there's quite a few of them. So we've got a whole load of overlay options on here. It's really challenging for me to break this down into chapters for you because they all just kind of merge into one, but let's have a go at it. So firstly, screen share overlay. Now, currently, if you wanted to share your screen, you would have come up here and selected the whole window to be a screen share. And maybe you'd have put yourself up there in the corner as a picture-in-picture. So now you have the option to use from this window here, or what I'm liking is coming up here to source and choosing a blank scene. And what I do, again, is another video on this, how you now have an overlay for backgrounds. So we use the blue, as you can see on my desktop. This is our background, our corporate blue. And I can come down here. We've got a new overlay down here now that is a screen share overlay. And I can bring this in the same way that I would have brought a camera video overlay in. I get the same kind of options at the side. And so instead of my entire screen, I'm going to go for Chrome. Instead of wide, I'm going to select custom. Just means I'm not restricted to the shape. I can now adjust and place this exactly how I want it. And I really like this as a new feature. I could bring myself alongside it as a camera overlay. I'm keeping it simple. I'm trying to hold you back from the next update, but I can do this. I bring my camera in. Again, I can select my custom. I can adjust the size of how I want this to come. And then with my screen share sitting alongside, I can do this type thing. Now, you might be looking thinking, well, that's a bit messy around the back of there. One thing that I can do is to select a green screen key, and this will now knock out, how cool is that, everything else in the background. So all you're seeing, as you can see on my desktop, just really that window down there. This could work really well if I take that one off for a minute. Maybe I want to be able to show this alongside me and have this overlay sitting here while I sit alongside it. That could look really nice. So hold on, we're going to stay with overlays for a few minutes here, but this is how you bring in a screen share overlay. Again, we do have a video specifically on this one that you can also find in that playlist up there. Now I'm going to jump back to my blank source over here and bring that camera back in. And I think it's time to reveal the next of these updates, and that's rounded corners. And yeah, we've even made a video on this one because I think this is huge, and I'm only going to skim over it as quickly as I can in here. So in either of these overlays, I've got a picture of myself, my video feed's coming in here, my desktop's coming in over there. Let's start with this one. Notice how when this comes in, it shows me here as a new feature, corner radius. I'm going to turn that scenes off for a minute so there's a bit of space around that. And look at this, I can select, at the minute they're all square edges. As I click on here, you can see that my corners are mirroring what's going on here, and I've now rounded off the edges. And I don't need to have all of them on. Let's, for example, make this like a D shape there. And I can also adjust how much of a radius I want on these corners. And as you'll see here, we can apply exactly the same thing to our screen share overlay. Doesn't work really when we've got the green screen key on. That's really designed that you won't see a background or a frame. But let's apply it, and maybe let's mirror up this side. And we can do that same curved background over here. So when we've got these two sitting close together, you can actually start to design this and frame something up. You'll see in a minute. So that's our rounded corners. And the next one that we're going to quickly move on to are colored borders. Again, we've got these overlays open. Let's just have a look what happens here. When I bring these in, look at this. We can actually put a lovely edge on this, and you'll start to see a bit clearer now what happens when I'm adjusting these edges down here. Doesn't that look nice? So I can create this with a border width of 9 down here in white. I can then come over to this side here and I can apply the same thing, a border width of 9. And you can see how you can start matching this up here. So if you wanted it to look more connected, in fact, let me just take these overlays off there so you can see what's going on clearer. Notice that I said these are colored borders. So if you're not wanting white and you want to choose another color, you can absolutely do that. So can you start to see my excitement over this? All of a sudden, this feels more like a branded scene. It looks like I've had something professionally done and a frame cut out there, but I haven't left Ecamm. We're doing this all inside it. And as I adjust the shape of these, everything just fits together. Some of you right now will be jumping around as you're watching this going, wow, I've been waiting for this to come. It's one of those things. When it wasn't here, we didn't really think about it, but now it's here. I'm really thinking this is going to up the game for a lot of us in how we do our presentations and our slides. Now, as we keep progressing with this scene here, you might look at it and think, well, it's a bit of a shame that you've got the edges around that window on there. Well, that's our next feature, cropping edges. And you're dead right, because I don't particularly want, I can lock this into the app window, but I don't want to see that border. I don't want to have all that around it. I want to crop it out. And so what I can do is I can press my Option key and grab any of these sides or go to a corner. When I come in, oh, look at that. Just crops that out. I'll do the same at this end. And then when I release the Option key, I can move it again and back we come. Now, understand what's going to happen here is this window down below me needs to change in order to fit, because Ecamm's not going to kind of magically stretch out how the text would go. So if I want it to fit in that shape there, I'm now going to need to just drop this down a bit so that then I can crop in again. And we take that bit off. So what I've found is getting that to the size first of all, and then coming across to Chrome and almost matching this into it. And do be careful, because I thought this was a bug in Ecamm until I realized it's actually Chrome. When I come back up here and touch, notice that right up at the top left there, I'm still in Chrome. And when I touch up here, Option, and try to resize it, it knocks away my Chrome window. So what you need to do is open Chrome up again, and don't be trying to resize it while at the top there it says Chrome. Just click here first to make sure you're in Ecamm. Little lesson that I've learned. But now, how nice does that look? As I scroll down here, you can't see all that frame around it. We've cropped in on it. It works exactly the same way with the camera, that you can actually crop in from any side on there. I love this. I think there's a real combination here. We've now brought screen share overlays. We've got these rounded edges. We've got colored borders, and we can crop things in. I'm really excited to start seeing what some of you guys and myself can come up with now as we start playing with this and creating scenes. Again, with all of these things that I'm talking to you about, we've made more detailed videos. If you want to see more examples and see other ways that I've been playing with this and using it, do go and check those videos out. But we're going to keep moving. A few little things to do with overlays that I want to just show while we're here. We could, for example, if I came up here and decided I wanted this to sit in front of this window, we can now easily reorder this to say bring to front or send to back. Maybe I want, not that I would, but maybe I've brought it in this way around and I'm thinking, oh no, I needed the picture in picture over the front. I can either send this one to the back or bring that one to the front, and it allows me quite easily to put these together. And we can link these together now if we want to, and maybe I want this whole thing to move. I like the way I've placed it here. I will just change that because it is bugging me slightly. In fact, let's go, we'll put them all rounded. But I like this, but I kind of move this and then I move this, and I think, no, I like how they sit together. I can add a new folder here. Let's call it Screen Share for sake of this. And I can pick up my camera, put it in it, screen share and put it in it. And now what I can do is on this folder, you can see that they both come on and off together. There's now a little key that locks them. So now when I move them around, they both go together. It still allows me to independently size it, but when I pick up to move them, they move around together. So another cool little feature. I'm going to unlock those for a minute. Another feature, you can say duplicate and it will make another one. You could also do this by hitting the Option key and just dragging, and it will make you another one. And you can also, if you're more of a shortcutter and you look down here and you want to do copy and paste, then you can do it that way around as well. And as you can see, multiple copies just by me doing Command C, Command V. Okay, I think that's enough on overlays for now. There are some other little bits that you'll find in there. Why don't we move on and have a look at interviewing? Again, I keep saying it, we've actually made a specific video on this with more detail. Go and have a look at it over there if you want to. So what are we looking at in interview that's changed? I'll go into this in more detail in that other video, but let me just give you the highlights of this. You can come into here now and you can brand up the page. So this is the page you're going to send a guest to that's going to come on and be interviewed. You can just put a title at the top. It's not a massive deal because they probably won't even see this as they come through, but it's nice that we've got that option there. We've got options here for light mode and dark mode to be able to replace the Ecamm logo at the bottom corner with our own branding, and a little graphic there as well, as it says for when we share this out. We can also, and this is another update, you can now, there are 14 options in here for changing this name around. So if I cancel that a minute, notice that at the bottom of here it says guest.ecamm live, and then I have a unique number at the end. If I change this around, that guest.ecamm live could change to click to join.us, be my guest.tv, all of these different names, and the start will change, but that same extension at the end will all just carry on the same. Now, I personally don't use this because I do a cloaking thing, and so I send people to adriansalisbury.com/guest, and that does this in the background, but that might be of interest to you. Some other options there that you can choose. I would leave these ticked on as suggested, but here's another one. Look, allowing private chat. Brilliant. Love this feature. So I'm going to leave all those ticked on as it suggests and hit save, or I'm going to cancel it because it's exactly the same in mine. When I've brought a guest on previously and they appear over here in this window, I can chat with them before the live, but as soon as the live is on, I can't talk to them or communicate with them any other way while we're going. Yes, when a video is playing, we can talk in the background and nobody can hear us. But now what this feature has allowed us to do is add a new chat window into here that I'll put up there for now. And I can now chat with my guest. So maybe something's happening on the live and I just want to remind them, or maybe it's something like, don't run away at the end. I meant to tell you, just stay on. So while they're talking, you could quickly just write them a message, ping it in there, and they will see it appear on their screen. So a fantastic little update that I think will make our lives a lot easier. Just remember to tell your guest to open that chat up and that they can use that as a two-way back and forth should they need to during the live. No one else will see it, it's just you. So that's interviewing. Again, loads of details up there if you want to go and watch through that one for a more thorough overview of it. I need to keep moving. That's really our bigger features that I wanted to talk about, but I do just want to now list through these other features that are available to you. So we're going to cover these next ones at quite a rapid pace, to be honest. It's just letting you know that they're there. So the next one I've got on here is Twitter destination. Notice that down here, where at the minute I'm in record only, you've got your Facebook, LinkedIn, all the rest of it. Twitter is now in there. And I can go live to Twitter. And in fact, I've had a go at this. At no fault of Ecamm, I'm glad that they're getting ahead of this, but I don't think Twitter are ready for this yet. The experience of when I went live and then I logged into it from my phone, it's all a bit clunky still. So I'm afraid I'm not won over by Twitter on this one yet, but at least we know that as they're getting ready for it, Ecamm's already got us covered. The next feature is support for RTSP cameras, which are network cameras. I'm afraid I've got no experience with these. I'm not going to be able to help you with it, but I'm telling you that it's there. Local HTML files can now be added as overlays using widgets. Again, I'm not quite sure of the user case for this. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you would use. LoupeDeck Live Integration. We recently got hold of a LoupeDeck Live device. It's very much like a Streamdeck. Integration from Ecamm's side is now in. We're just waiting for the LoupeDeck itself to have their next update, hopefully in the next week or two, and these two should work together really well. As and when that is properly available, we will make a video on that. Over in your preferences under the transitions, this is under the video heading, you've now got a slow cross dissolve and a slower cross dissolve. So this will be the transition as you jump from one scene to the next. Of course, I've got nothing else open now, have I? But this becomes a slow transition there. And let's go for a slower one as we go back. So a very soft transition there. Again, that might be really nice for some of you as you're going through scenes. If maybe you want to go from one photo to another and just have that softer transition, it's now there. You've now got an option to keep widgets running. I wasn't quite aware that this didn't happen before, to be honest. So again, not one that's big for me, but for some of you, yes, this will be great. You've also got the option here, haven't actually tried this one yet, to add the last comment as an overlay. I think we need to be on for this to be showing up on here. Next time I'm live, I'll try it out and I'll let you know how I get on. A few updates in the camera effects window. Now when I put settings on here, I can say apply to all scenes. So maybe I change this around and I decided I wanted to be black and white, or maybe it's actually that I'm applying some different settings to the camera down here. Now, instead of this changing scene by scene, I can now hit apply to all scenes and it'll do so. The other thing I can do over here is if I wanted to use this zoom and pan feature over here, I should take that setting off first. I can zoom in over here, and when I'm adjusting this panning around here, I can now hit the shift key and it will keep me on a nice, I can't move that up and down. I can take it up and down the same and it won't jump side to side. So that's using the shift key as I either go up and down or left to right. Again, a small little feature, but it's good to know it's there. A little update for Twitch. You can now come into your preferences and under Twitch here, you can change your ingest location, choosing the nearest location for your streaming server. Again, not clear on this because I'm not a Twitch user, but again, just letting you know it's there. For those of you that are big into your audio, Ecamm's audio output sample rate is now 48 kilohertz. There's some notes about NDI that I'm not quite getting, I'm afraid. We've got some USB support for some Sony cameras and a Fujifilm camera. To be honest, I thought these worked anyway. I've got this ZV-E10, works fine across USB. Not quite sure what the update is, but we'll take that. And I think the last thing to tell you is just some updates to the Streamdeck plugin. If you've got a Streamdeck, it'll ask you to update that as well, and you'll notice that there are some more buttons on there. Things that we had to do shortcuts for to be able to, for instance, take these overlays off the screen like this, or to quickly go into live demo mode. You've actually now got buttons along with other things that you can now add by default into your Streamdeck. So if you made it to the end of this, well done. Thank you so much. Maybe tell me in the comments I made it to the end. There's a lot in here. It's been hard for me actually putting this together because there are some great features in here and we've already gone off and made in-depth videos on them. They're all listed down in the description or in that playlist that we've pointed to. So I hope you found this useful. I'm really excited for this. Certainly the graphics, the way we can do these things in scenes, just playing around with those frames, the round edges and all that. I'm going to have a blast with this and I hope you do too. Why don't you let us know how you get on with it? Please give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it and go watch the rest of this playlist and learn all about it. Thank you so much. Have fun with Ecamm. I'll see you soon.